Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and we're going to talk about Hocus Pocus 2, and we're going to talk about Winifred Sanderson. There are spoilers for Hocus Pocus 2 in this. Winifred Sanderson is, every Dungeon Master has to see Hocus Pocus 2, because we craft villains, and honestly, I will tell you right now, Winifred Sanderson is a hurricane of quality. It is a mixture of amazing writing. Winifred Sanderson doesn't pop off the screen the way she does. Winifred Sanderson is the heart of Hocus Pocus. Hocus Pocus, you could pull out anybody from Hocus Pocus and it still works. Replace them with any other box standard actor or actress, but you can't touch Winifred Sanderson. Winifred Sanderson is the reason Hocus Pocus is building into a massive IP, massive intellectual property. It's already an intellectual property. If you don't know, it's not just a movie; it's a board game. It's a board game. It's a set of novels. It's a whole bunch of stuff. There may actually be video games. If there aren't now, there will be soon. It's building. Okay. What you need to understand about Winifred Sanderson is every Dungeon Master has to look at Winifred Sanderson because she's one of the most well-constructed villains ever. And it's our job to construct villains, right? And what do we learn from Winifred Sanderson? You could be irredeemably evil and 100% likable. And I think we might have known that, but this is how it's done. This is how you get there, right? You could say it, but that doesn't mean you could do it. Right? You could say it as a Dungeon Master. That doesn't mean you could do it. That doesn't mean you could deliver. Right? Knowing that something can be done is not the same as being able to do it. Right? And so, if we're going to craft irredeemably evil villains who are 100% likable, we need a model. And the best model that's ever been created is Winifred Sanderson. And so, it's a hurricane of quality. Right, and what's mixed together in that hurricane? Right, what is the gale force winds that craft Winifred Sanderson? What is the artistic gale force winds that craft, right, Winifred Sanderson? Let's get into it. One, brilliant writing, and this is sad. Most screenplay writers, you don't know their names. Nobody knows any screenplay writer's name. People, maybe novelists, authors get famous, but screenplay writers don't get famous, right? I don't know who wrote Winifred Sanderson. I know whoever wrote her was brilliant in Hocus Pocus 1 and in Hocus Pocus 2, right? And that it wouldn't work without that writing, right? Without Winifred as a young witch and as a witch who grows in power, right? And here's the big one. Who has an absolutely undying, unmovable, unchangeable love, genuine love for her sisters. Winifred Sanderson eats children. She eats children, right? This isn't debated. It's not like, it's like a fun thing I said. She eats children, right? She's a child eater, right? She's irredeemably evil, right? And now she could be redeemed if she would, convert to Christianity. Winifred Sanderson ain't ever going to convert to Christianity, right? Just say it happens, right? Like, I meet people all the time, and they're like, I'm going to hell. Like, they don't say that, they don't say those words, but they're like, I'm never going to convert. So I know the answer. I know the truth, right? And so Winifred Sanderson is never going to convert, right? Like, so she's irredeemable, right? So, but she's also 100% likable. Oh my gosh, is she likable, right? And the second part is acting. I am a thespian, like John Lovett used to say. Thespian, acting. Like, Bette Midler drops it hot. Like, she can act. Like, honestly, Bette Midler has more acting expertise in her pinky than Gal Gadot will ever have in her life, right? Like, she just is a transformational actress who is talented at a level that most other actors. Harry Styles is a repugnant fool who has no business being on any movie, right? Like, when you see what Bette Midler has done and how hard she's worked at her craft, you're like, Harry Styles, why do you exist on camera? You suck and should not do one more bit of acting, right? Basically, Bette Midler puts you to shame, and you should be ashamed of your work, right? Like, and honestly, I think this is why Don't Worry Darling made $19 million and is a piece of garbage film, right? Like, because Harry's could have been good if Olivia Wilde had like actually done a good job as a director and not set fire to what she built, right? But this movie was like, hey, Harry Styles is here and he hates every Dungeons & Dragons community member because he spit on Elgin the Bard, right? And so that movie was like, we're going to roll hard and we're going to make the Dungeons & Dragons community our enemy, right? And I'm going to say it, Harry Styles is a garbage actor who should never be cast again, right? And when you look at the work that Bette Midler does, who's like, hey, I'm a real actor. I go to those classes and pretend I'm a tree and actually do stuff to actually be a good actress. You could see it. She drops it hot, right? Like, here's the thing. It's here, right? And so the reality is if we're going to craft irredeemably evil villains who are 100% likable, where real story happens, where the good stuff happens, right? Hocus Pocus 1, Hocus Pocus 2. These are modern classics, right? And you want your material to pop off the table. Not the screen, the table, right? And so we ignore trash actors like Harry Styles, and we look and say, okay, maybe I should go take an acting class. If I'm going to be a good dungeon master, maybe it's time for me to pretend I'm a tree for a little while. Right? Because when you look at Bette Midler and she's bringing this film to life, and if we're going to do that at our tables, we need to watch this template and meet this template where it lives. Winifred Sanderson is the template for any dungeon master to build an irredeemably evil villain who is 100% likable. I don't think you can do it if you don't look at the writing in Hocus Pocus 1, look at the writing in Hocus Pocus 2, and then craft your acting like Bette Midler did. She legit works hard at it. It's a craft, and repugnant fools like Harry Styles, who spit on every member of the Dungeons & Dragons community by spitting on Elgin the Bard, right? And saying, I have no respect on you, and I only say that because Harry Styles said that. I'm saying, hey, I accept what Harry Styles said when Harry Styles said, I went to Paris to spit on Chris Pine. I believe him. I accept your words. And I accept that you have made Dungeons & Dragons community your enemy. So be it, right? And I'm going to say right now, let's Bette Midler it. Don't nobody do Harry Styles. He's a useless, garbage actor who should never be cast again, right? And I think the D&D community should make sure his movies are not watched. That is my humble opinion. And I will never watch Dunkirk again because of Harry Styles' absolute disrespect to every member of the D&D community. That's my opinion. I'm ready to hear yours. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider liking, subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.